don't know. I'm just so locked in. I feel like I'm touching my prime. I'm touching my prime years. I'm getting better and better. I've been watching my fights, and I just feel like I'm touching these years where it's about to get real scary for these fighters. I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter could beat me.
Welcome to BodyWork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWorkBoxing. It's a slow developing story about Shakur Stevenson, man. We haven't found many answers, but apparently the fight with the GOATs, Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson, is so just like understand Giannis and Virgil Ortiz. We were disappointed because this is a fight that fans had really got behind and wanted, even though the predictions were wide one way. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. There's a lot of speculation, nothing concrete coming out other than the fact that Shakur Stevenson saying that Frank Martin coming out and pulling out for somebody of some of the bigger names is a lie. He basically saying Frank Martin pulled out for no reason. We haven't heard anything from Frank Martin's side. I haven't come across anything from Frank Martin's side. But the story is, the story that I've been on since around December of last year, that's when I made that thumbnail, is Edwin De Los Santos. Edwin De Los Santos. Man, the dude is very explosive, and he's been, I often say that there are a lot of boogeymen in boxing, but then you have boogeymen chasing boogeymen. And in this case, in this situation, it may be portrayed as though Edwin De Los Santos is a boogeyman of some sorts, because it's clear that Shakur has, you got to give Shakur a little bit of credit as being a boogeyman. With everybody who said, no, I'm not going to get into it, a lot of other channels have gotten into it. I've gotten into that. I'm a solution-oriented individual. So I'm looking for ways that we can actually see the smoke, we can get around the smoke. And De Los Santos, going back to December of last year when I did that video on them, it got about 100 and something views on it. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't that popular, but it did, spark a little bit of attention. And De Los Santos been barking. He been saying he wanted Shakur and Isaac Cruz for a long time. I think he was playing his role. He bust out on the scene when everybody really got to know him, when he came on and beat Jose Valenzuela and ended that contest in less than 4 rounds. And in that short period of time, he got dropped, he hit the canvas, he got back up, pop, pop, ping, pow, boom. Fight was over. But he's been tapping Shakur on the shoulder forever, and him and Shakur, again on that thumbnail, was saying, he was basically saying, if you're fearing, then you're already losing. And then Shakur's like, you just want a payday. And I was just like, man, I kind of questioned Shakur when he said that back then. But then I saw that he had his eyes on bigger and better things, and just like anybody else who's aiming for the throne, they're not really trying to entertain anybody that's trying to tap on their shoulder or also headed for the throne. They want notches on their belt to get them up there to be able to get, a championship. The ones that's going solely for legacy. Some of them going for legacy and money, but De Los Santos has been very vocal at wanting some Shakur Stevenson. I started looking at it, man. I'm like, man, and they went back and forth again. And an article that came out again today saying that now that Frank Martin is out, he's being deemed as out. We'll get the scoop on that later on. They're saying that the WBC, since De Los Santos is number 6, may push for that fight to go on for that belt, which again will put meaning to that belt, because De Los Santos is a name. A lot of people try to discount him and say, oh, he lost to Willie Foster, all this stuff, but he is a name. Because it's not a lot of people running around, tapping him on the shoulder and saying, because even if De Los Santos were to fight Frank Martin, a lot of people would have tuned in and watched that fight. It's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of dry hate on PBC. It's just a lot of things that's flowing around right now that there's no real nothing concrete surrounding around this. But I've been pushing for this fight. I've been saying, hey man, just go ahead and take this dude, because I see how boxing is going, man. People I don't even want to put no dirt on Frank Martin's name, man. If he's making a choice for his career and he decided it's like, okay, if you ain't ready, if you realize you ain't ready, okay, cool. My whole thing is just come out and say something to the people. Address the public and let everybody know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So we know, how to look at things and how to have this talk. But right now, Shakur is looking like, a man on fire. And I started breaking down this comparison, right? And in this fight, yes, Shakur is 26, De Los Santos is 23. Both of them are southpaws. De Los Santos is 5'8", Shakur is 5'7", according to what BoxRec say. And the reach, I think it's 70-inch reach for De Los Santos, 68 for Shakur. So De Los Santos have a 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. I think I would give the hand speed and explosiveness edge to De Los Santos, but as far as the better hand-eye coordination, the one that's more defensively responsible, I would definitely give that to Shakur, because I call him the definition, which is the hit and not get hit. That's what I think he is. That's what he's shown himself to be. Now, we did see some things, and no matter what names Shakur Stevenson put on his resume, even though there were some names he could have had, like O'Shaquie Foster, and he could have had Gary Russell at 30 and 26. He could have, for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to ride him for that. It was what it was. He was able to get a championship belt and in 26 and unify at 30, and he came up. He already caught a body in Yoshino, who dropped Nakatani and stopped him. He already caught that body. Nobody give him credit for Nakatilia, even though people are not just jumping in the ring to fight him. People not really giving him credit for Joed Gonzalez. They took away from Oscar Valdez, even though Oscar Valdez had a name. They don't give him really no credit for Casasiai, who arguably beat Oscar Valdez. But Shakur has some names. He's been through some divisions. And I think he has his eyes on the prize as far as wanting to get that championship belt to go along with all of the hype and all of the media coverage and all of the push that he's getting, mainly on social media. They wanted that to carry over. So it's a big letdown, and it's not Frank Martin, because that would have added to his cachet to basically be able to get that Tank fight. Now, from the Tank side, going over to Shakur, I'm not sure what happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure why that's not ready, or if they feel like Shakur need to get more numbers. We never know. I would love to hear them come out and address, their fans and the people that, really want to talk about this conversation responsibly. But in the rounds department, I think Shakur has 133 rounds, and De Los Santos only has 68. So in ring experience, you can deduct two things. Shakur is more experienced as far as in round, and also you can deduct that maybe some of the reason why De Los Santos doesn't have as many rounds is because he's very explosive with like a high 80% knockout rate, like a 86% knockout rate. So I think that this fight is, this would be a good rebound for it. I think that them both fighting for the titles would actually still put some equity into that belt, since it's, whoever fight for that belt, I was saying that Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson would be restoring order at 135. So whoever fight for that WBC belt will be restoring order there. I think if he don't accept it, if De Los Santos don't get the push, I think they're talking about one Jermaine Ortiz, which, he came out and made some very strong statements here recently. But with somebody that had missed weight and, this and this and that, you can't question how serious you are about the craft. Same thing can be said about Shakur. He took a lot of hits. All of these young fighters at some point in time take a big hit, as far as missing weight for whatever reason at a certain point in time in their career. And often it's when they're young. However, if it's not De Los Santos, it may be Jermaine Ortiz. What do you think about this fight? I think this is a very tricky, very dangerous. And I'm getting down to the point now, right now, as a hardcore boxing fan. I'm really getting down to the point now where I'm only really valuing the fight when two fighters want to fight each other. Like when they really want to fight each other, that's what I'm starting to value now, because what we push for and what we want, it don't matter anymore. It's starting to change. Who has a belt and who doesn't, how you got it, because you can move those goalposts all you want. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it's starting to be down to who really wants that smoke. And I think the last response to De Los Santos that Shakur Stevenson gave was, I'm tired of you saying my name. Basically, I'm tired of you running your mouth. You know, and De Los Santos went up to New Jersey. He was up there, and Shakur, him and them going back and forth on social media. And Shakur basically said, hey, be safe when you out there. And De Los Santos basically said, hey, I am the danger. And he was like, hey, be patient, you'll get your turn. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm basically, I'm tired of waiting. I've been waiting for a long time. So De Los Santos is running toward the smoke, man. That's the kind of energy we want. There ain't no talks of retirement. Ain't no talks of getting out the game. Ain't all this about money. He's really running and aiming for the smoke, right? The last thing I want to leave you off with is I have a new series coming out called DNA of a Champion, where I'm going to be highlighting some of the boxers in my boxes to watch and 2 of the up-and-coming contenders that they don't do salaciousness. They all about the skills in the ring. I do videos breaking down, you know, their skills in the ring. And the Rain Man, I call him the Rain Man, Africa, basically Richardson Hitchins. He's coming up on the 23rd, and Austin Ammo Williams is coming up on the 23rd. And, you know, I've been checking for Ammo Williams, highly explosive, very deadly. He said he's falling back in love with the sport. I've both heard recent interviews with them two talking about the sport in a way that I think these young fighters need to. They're vested in it. They're developing their craft. They speak like they have some sense. They give the true facts about their peers. And I think we got a sneaky good night that night of September 23rd. You know, when Richardson Hitchins, he's taking on Jose Cepeda, who lost to Regis, you know, for that belt that they got, that WBC at 140. And then you have Austin Ammo Williams against Steve Rhodes, who both of these guys have been really developed as far as the different styles they've been fighting, the names that they've been putting the ring in, and they are maturing very fine. They have a realistic approach as to how they're going to get their titles, and they have equity in their resume. So they're going to be those 2 are going to be 2 of the guys that when it comes down to people breaking down their resume, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you're going to want to get to know these guys. Anyways, man, what do you think about De Los Santos and Shakur? How you feel about it? Are you upset that Frank Martin and Shakur didn't go on? You know, what chances or what odds do those odds change? Looking at somebody as explosive as De Los Santos against, you know, a defensive surgical fighter in Shakur Stevenson. One who like to keep, you know, the pocket clean, so to speak. You know, but he'll stand right in front of you. This narrative that he runs, he don't run. If you really look at him, he's the closest thing to Floyd. He doesn't embarrass you quite as great. Maybe not as much power, you know, when Floyd really wanted to, but he's the closest thing. I think De Los Santos has the ability to upset the apple cart, and I don't know if somebody was pulling out coins or flipping and having to put money on the table in this fight. Right now, the initial look be like, I don't know. You know, De Los Santos, he don't have a lengthy record. I think he's like what, about 16-0, 15-0. Shakur Stevenson is like 20-0, 10 knockouts. So, you know, I think it's a good fight, man. And I hope it happens now. You know, it's the next best thing to not getting, you know, Frank Martin. And hopefully we hear from Frank Martin or Earl Spence, you know what I'm saying, in this regard. Because you need to feed your fans, man. Let your fans know what's going on. But anyways, thanks for everybody who tuned in here at BodyWorkBoxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.